Hey guys, it's me, Rebecca. Welcome to our fireside chat tonight. And we are focusing on the healing power of circulation. And I'm joined by one of my besties. This is Melinda Shoden, LMT, which means licensed massage therapist. So we're like two peas in a pod. And Melinda comes to us with tons of experience in this topic of circulation that I want to cover tonight. So in the whole arena of movement and flexibility and flow with your body, there's this whole other piece besides exercise, which includes circulation, because I have seen runners who look great physically, but maybe their circulation to their hands and feet sucks and they start to lose mobility in their joints. So just because someone's really healthy and fit exercise-wise doesn't mean that they're covering making sure that everything is flowing within their system, within their body. And that can be a huge key to health. Like Melinda and I will tell you, how many times has someone been on your table, Melinda, that needed a break, a release of some kind? It was like totally holding them back in tons of areas, right?
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is when we injure ourselves, we have this internal, it's kind of like the external scabbing process, only it's an internal scabbing process. And what that does, if it's not properly healed, and if the scar tissue gets crazy and doesn't stop doing its job, and then it restricts blood flow, and that's not good. And that's where massage comes in handy. Mm-hmm. And
we'll get into a little bit more of that. But before we do, I wanted to tell you guys how cool Melinda is. So Melinda and I met like, I don't know, what has it been? 6 years, Melinda, at a massage therapy convention here in Idaho. And I got to know that Melinda, she's got a lot of experience, like years of experience in the massage field. Like massage can be a high turnover field because it can be rough on the body, but Melinda has learned how to integrate massage into her life, how to become that healer and become, I should say, the avenue of healing, right? Like it comes through you, right, Melinda? I think I've heard her correct me a few times when I called her a healer before.
Okay. So the one thing about massage is you're going to find every massage therapist is different, because every massage therapist is just a vessel that has this creative energy that flows out of them. And so all their life experiences and all their education adds to whatever they bring to the table. Mm-hmm. No pun intended. Okay, yes, pun intended.
To the massage table.
So basically, I become basically this conduit, and I put my hands on people's bodies, and so do you, and their body pretty much tells us where they're having trouble. I mean, you can feel if there's inflammation or if there's some areas that are swollen, or you can see the blood vessels are straining, or, did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
We're into it.
You have to stop me.
You're fine.
Because I'll just go on and on.
I'll redirect you if need be. It's okay.
Thank you.
So, Melinda brings to Idaho some really necessary good culture from outside of like the common classic Idaho massage therapist. She comes from her training from Oregon at East and West. And she still maintains that Oregon licensure, which, by the way, is more stringent than Idaho. She's also still nationally certified. So she's got like stuff behind her name as a massage therapist, so to speak. But the reason I picked her out of my massage therapist friends to talk to us tonight is because we have had many conversations about circulation and about how it's all about moving things through the muscles, through the blood, through the energy, and helping people to find, releases or unblocking what gets so pent up and stuck in the system. And we've seen miracles come from it. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to Melinda and just ask Melinda, have you seen some good stuff in your time.
Yes, I've seen a lot of amazing things happen, and unfortunately, I'm not exactly prepared. As far as client confidentiality goes, that's
Right.
one that you get. But one of my favorite stories to tell would be a client that started seeing me regularly because of back pain, and we just kept working the different things that create it, and she started doing some strengthening things, and she was still having pain, which you can still have, but I'll get to that part of the story. But she went to get a second opinion because she just wasn't as well as she was hoping. Sorry.
Someone's calling right now for an appointment.
Give me 2 seconds, okay?
Okay. I'll finish her introduction while she steps out. So, also one thing that I've heard over and over again from Melinda, because the kind of, the style of therapist that she is, she tends to attract clientele who have are having chronic issues, have gone through the medical, flow, like the normal doctor, specialist, surgery, and still end up suffering. So Melinda's had several of those clients that she works with, and through her practice, through working with them to get them to make the right lifestyle changes, is able to bring this complementary alternative medicine, all of the pieces together to help clients find real relief. So go ahead and finish telling us. You were telling us, Melinda.
Yeah. Anyway, she went to a doctor to get a second opinion, and the doctor comes back out, and this is after she'd been seeing me for probably 8 months, anywhere from once a week to every 2 weeks. So she was very consistent with her massage therapy program, regimen, whatever you want to call it. And the doctor comes back in the room, and he says, well, I have good news and I have bad news. Which do you want first? That classic scenario. He really said that, folks. And she's like, oh, what's the bad news? And he goes, the bad news is I can't medically do surgery on you because I can't find anything wrong with you. And she's like, well, what's the good news? And he was like, well, you don't have bulging discs anymore, and you don't have any arthritis in your spine. And she was just kind of blindsided. She's like, well, why do I still have pain? And it kind of came down to, it was nerve pain, so the nerves remember. And so sometimes our body heals, and then it takes a long time. And that's kind of where, some of the neuromuscular retraining can really help. But when you're dealing with things like the spine, that's a really small area. And some of those muscles are tiny, tiny. And it's going to be hard to neuromuscularly retrain the muscle that's sending that pain signal. But that's one of my favorite stories, and I have several. Another one that was really interesting to me is somebody that was getting massage, and we were doing abdominal massage, increasing blood flow, and she was having some issues with her pancreas, and the doctor were considering whether they'd need to remove it or not. And basically, just because she was really consistent with massage, and the massage helped increase blood circulation, she also made a few changes to her diet, because, massage isn't the answer. It's, what you do when you go home and what you do all week long, and massage complements, it helps your body heal itself. So basically, the doctors postponed surgery, and they actually said that her issue seems to be improving. And so she's really happy, especially since she's older. And, people start telling you, the older you get, there's no hope for you. You're old, it's not always age related. Sometimes it's the abuse that we do to ourselves. And massage is a kind thing that you can do for your body. Mm-hmm. And it's good for your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotional health. When you say, I value myself enough to pay money to receive a massage, and then massage increases circulation to your tissue, and your body is able to heal itself. It's this real, it's a transformational experience when it's done right, you have to do it consciously. You have to go with intention to your massage, having expectations, being able to communicate to your massage therapist what you want to see happen. Because, some massage therapists may claim to be mind readers, but I like to think that we're facilitators, and you come to us and say, hey, this is what I'd like you to help me with. And we're like, yeah, baby, let's go.
Right. They're, clients are the ones paying for the session, so they should be the boss, right?
Exactly. If you have a therapist you're not comfortable with, go find another one or have a talk with them or do something, but don't be miserable.
Yeah, absolutely.
That adds to your fight or flight, adds to your tension, that decreases circulation. And
that's counterproductive. So I'm going to pull up a picture for a second of so this podcast that we're doing tonight, as well as all of the ones that we do on here on my channel on Naturally Strong, they fit into this framework. This is kind of what Melinda was just saying, that it's not just massage, right? Like it begins, to me, there's 7 foundations of health. And if any one of these areas is, underactive or not being addressed, then we're going to experience, dis-ease or unhealth in some kind of way. So we're starting with, we have to have this piece of nutrition. And then comes in moving and circulation and all of the things we're talking about with flow. And then we got to have a healthy perspective. Like sometimes we need to retrain our stress and our, emotional state.
So true.
Yeah. Sometimes we just need a good talk with a girlfriend. Cleaning up our space and our environment is really important. And I'm talking about toxins and emotional waste and things that can just really bring us down. And then there's this whole level of understanding ourselves. Knowing what our numbers are and what that means. And then a trusted practitioner can come in and tell us, well, if you don't understand the numbers, this is what it means. And this is what's healthy, and we need to stay within these ranges. That's the kind of, practitioner that I would want to work with. And then there's also this last piece of, even if everything's physically well with you, there could still be this element that you're not fulfilling your purpose or your higher calling. And so all of those coming together create this vibrant, healthy, wonderful human being that's like on purpose, changing the world. And so just know that we're not telling everyone that massage is the only answer. We're just saying that it fits within the framework of all these complementary things that make a healthy individual.
CAM therapy, yes.
Yes, complementary alternative therapy. That's what we're talking about. Okay, so Melinda, I really want to get into some juicy ideas about when someone comes in to you for the first time, and they've had struggles like with joint health, and we as a massage therapist have a number of tools at our disposal, but mostly, where do you go? How do you mostly, care for the new client that's on their journey?
You either, you look upstream or downstream. Rarely is the problem the joint. Okay. I mean, that tongue in cheek, because there are cases like when my uncle was water skiing and he bent his knee back, and there are cases where it's the joint, but traditionally or usually, whatever that nice fancy word is, I can't seem to find. When a client comes to me, I lay them down, I ask them what their issue is, and I look upstream, the muscles above the joint, and I look the muscles below the joint, and it's kind of interesting. A lot of times you'll also find a diagonal. So you'll want to also look diagonally from, whatever joint is diagonal and opposite from the joint that's bothering you. So like say your right knee is bothering. So I would check the gastrocnemius, the soleus. Are they both moving correctly? And then I would check the hamstrings and the quads. And then if I'm not really finding much in there, I might check the hip, or I might skip it and go to the opposite hip or the opposite ankle. Does that make sense? Am I answering your question?
Yeah.
It's complicated. It's not always easy.
It's not always easy, but however, like you begin, like, and you say, when you say I'm checking, what are you searching for?
Kind of like what I was talking about earlier, congested tissue, places where there was an injury, previous injury, it didn't finish healing correctly, or that scar tissue just didn't know when to quit. And so it's, still busy sending out tendrils, growing and repairing. And it's like, yo, chill, we don't need you anymore.
Big enough.
So then you have to, that's where that cross fiber frictioning really helps. And then of course, re-educating the muscle. Oh, look, you can do this. That's part of the picture. But so I look for that, and occasionally I will find something that feels like a tear, and what that feels like. And of course, when that happens, I usually will stop the massage, or at least on that area, and say, you really need to go check it out with your doctor. But it'll just kind of feel like a little ball, like it's like a gap and then like a little ball. And, I've only felt that a couple of times, and it's been like on the bicep. And
really common here in the pec, right? In the bicep area.
Yeah. Yeah, you have the bicep, the bi means two, so you actually have two muscles, and sometimes one of those will tear, or part of one will tear, part of the head will break off, and I've seen some other interesting things, but you can't always talk about everything you see, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. But let's go back to something we can talk about. So, when you talk about retraining a muscle, you can do this again muscle. Are you talking about like range of motion in your massage?
Say that again. You cut out.
Do you address that with like range of motion, or how do you retrain a muscle?
What I personally do, what I have found works best for me, is I touch the muscle, and then I ask them to use it. And it's really interesting because it's a great way to find out if a muscle's been taken out of the firing order. So the way our body works, when it's in perfect alignment, there's a firing order, and a certain specific muscle will fire, and then the second muscle will fire, and then they'll all fire together. And when you have an injury and that scarring happens, and all the the lack of circulation and all the clotting and everything that takes place, that, your body is trying to stop the bleeding and repair the injury. And then, you end up with tissue that stops moving. I don't know if you can see my hands, but this is how I explain it to my clients. So muscles kind of have feet, and they run up and down each other. So this is contracted and this is elongated. And the goal in life is to be long and strong. Mm-hmm. Everybody's short and strong, but not everybody is long and strong. Mm-hmm. And long and strong. And this is where hydration comes in. You've got to be hydrated, because if you're using your muscles and you're not hydrated, it's sticky. So water to the body is like oil is to a car. And so basically you do something short, sharp, sudden, and it happens really quick, and then you have like a break or a tear. Well, then it looks kind of like this. It's just this jumbled mass of tissue, okay? Oh. And it's just crisscrossy. And so you use like cross fiber friction, which would be similar to this, and that helps realign the tissue. And then you have it contract, and then you have it elongate, and you go through that a couple of times. And help the brain find it, because what happens when you have this injury, especially if you're that person that says, oh, I'll just wait, it'll heal, it'll get better. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times it doesn't. And if blood can't get into that tissue, then it can't get those, I think it's called like an interferon, and it stops that scarring process, or the clotting process, and it says, whoa, it's okay, it's fixed now, we can go home, everything's all right. But sometimes the injury is really bad and we don't use it. Well, what happens if we don't move and we don't use something? Then blood can't get to it. Well, blood is a communicator, and it's intelligent, and it's a fixer and a feeder, and it's a waste packer. It's along with the lymph. It's our garbage man and it's our grocery man. And I mean, it just does everything for our body. So when you can't get circulation to that tissue.
I'm pulling up a picture of what Melinda's talking about right now. So we want to be able to bring in the fresh blood, and we've got like all the nutrition and all the oxygen. Well, if it's all knotted up, like Melinda's saying, is really common with an injury, you're not getting fresh, good stuff to that area to help heal it. And you're also not taking out the garbage and the waste either. So it's kind of like pooling there like a little, septic tank. Right, Melinda?
Exactly. And you can imagine if a muscle is tight, you're not using all of it. And so it's called facilitation. And so your muscle recruits other muscles around it to do its job and to help it get you through life. Okay. So you're sitting there saying, oh, I can move my arm over my head. But what you're not realizing is as you go up, then you move it over a little and then up, you're not actually moving it all the way up. And so you've recruited another muscle to help you raise your arm. So you think you're better, but you're really not, because that firing order is not working correctly, because the brain, you didn't use it for so long, the brain forgot about it and it started doing other things to do its job.
And so, it like memorizes that like coming forward and going back again pattern.
Yes.
So that you forget about it, but your brain knows it doesn't go 100% through.
Yeah, I actually had a massage instructor tell me that when you injure yourself, your brain remembers the exact position you were in when you hurt yourself. And so it will actually create facilitating patterns to keep you from ever going back to that evil place that hurt you.
Wow.
And so therefore you'll just develop these dysfunctional patterns. And so, that's why it's another good reason to massage helps you get in touch with your body. I mean, you're laying there getting parts of your body rubbed and you're like, oh, I have one of those. That's kind of sore, or, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't been that way in a really long time. That's not a good sign, but I hear that from a client. Okay, so what I'm like kind of ordering this in my mind for those of you, so hopefully some of you live within driving distance of Arco, Idaho, where Melinda practices. But if you don't, then make sure that your therapist addresses these things that we're talking about. So I come in, I'm a patient, I come in, I'm having a lot of trouble with my shoulder, let's say. So Melinda's going to work upstream, she's going to work downstream. She's looking for, those frictiony spots that look like that. And she's also, rubbing and smoothing and bringing the circulation in, addressing any posture issues that are happening. And so Melinda, after this session, what kind of like take home homework advice do you normally give your clients?
Go do whatever it is that you want to be able to go do, because you just got your muscles all worked through. Now I'm talking about the kind of massage I do, and there are other massage therapists out there that do the kind of work that I do. But what I tell my clients, and that you will find people that will disagree with me. Okay, you can find somebody who will disagree with just about everything, and I mean, the research is out there that it would just make you go, why try? Because there is no right answer. But what I tell my clients, and it seems to work really well, is I say, you go do what you want to be able to do. And then you come back to me if you find you can't do it. And we'll keep working on it until you can. Some massage therapists will bruise you and they will actually injure you. So just because it hurts does not mean it's effective. In fact, it should hurt if it hurts at all. It should be a burning hurt, which means you're separating those adhered tissues, or it should be a bruisey kind of hurt, like someone's pushing on a bruise on your arm or something. And it should not be sharp or searing, like, if it makes you want to get up and run off the table, then you better open your mouth and you better say, you're hurting me, and stop whatever's taking place. Because I actually had clients that they didn't say anything to me, but boy, I sure heard about it from Joe, their best friend. And you do that to your therapist, okay?
I know. We don't want to be mean. We want to give you the massage you want.
And everybody's pain tolerance level is different, okay? And another thing that will happen as your body begins to heal, you will begin to feel pain again, and you'll be like, wow, that hurts. A lot of people, by the time they come see me, they're like, push hard, you can't hurt me, and have a really high pain tolerance. And I just want to weep for that person, because that means they're in so incredibly amount of pain that and it's really kind of funny, because if they really get on me and they want more pressure, I'll do it for a little while, but I always check in, because the work I do will, it comes to that place where they've had their pain quota for the day, and then I can go about helping their body heal itself. When you're in fight or flight and you're in pain, you can't heal. You're tense. You're clenching your teeth, you're squeezing your glutes, you're curling your toes, you're holding your breath, which is, the worst thing you can do. Because that's like someone putting a pillow over your face. You just put your body in fight or flight, your blood gets acidic. It's not helpful. It's not healing. So communicate. Don't let people hurt you. But it should be that hurts so good, like someone is reaching an itch that you couldn't scratch. That's kind of a way I like to describe it.
That's a good way to say it too. Okay, so I'm also hearing that you're sending them home with homework to drink lots of water, or drink enough for their body. And what's the one you just said?
And the other thing I've recently started doing is earth salt. I've done a little bit of research on earth salt. So whenever I tell somebody to drink lots of water, I don't tell them drink lots of water. I tell them research has found that you really need to be drinking half your body weight in ounces. Mm-hmm. So you take per pounds you are, cut that in half. That's how many ounces that you should be drinking minimally. You also, when you drink a lot of water, you also have to make sure you're getting a lot of these minerals and salts, because you'll actually lose those, and then that can cause muscle cramping, and that can cause problems. So I just tell them to increase their water intake. I let them know what the standards are, and I let them know that what they do is going to impact the healing, whatever it is. I've loosened up, and they've helped me loosen up, whether they use it or they just go. So I have to say this, I'm sorry, but the body is very efficient. And so it goes on autopilot. And so it learns, it watches us, it observes us, and it learns what we do, and it creates these signals that basically we have this behind the scenes something kind of running our show. And so what happens is we develop all these compensatory patterns, and whether it's sugar cravings or the massage is you have to go create new neuron pathways. I'll have to stick to massage because that's what we're talking about tonight, but you have to go create and develop those neuron pathways that you want to be able to keep and have. So if we wake a muscle up, I'll use that layman's term. If we wake a muscle up, you want to go use that muscle so it doesn't fall back asleep, because like I said, the body is very routine orientated, and it gets in its groove and it just does its thing. And wake that muscle up, keep it woke up, start using it. It's funny because I'll have clients come in and they're like, check this out. I'm like, what? And they'll turn around and show me their glutes, and they're like, it looks like I got a butt lift. I'm like, yeah, because you're using your glutes when you walk now. So it's like, I think to be honest with you, I tell them the water thing, but because of where we sit, especially in the state of Idaho, every person's standard for water is going to be different because of how much they sweat. If you sweat a lot, you're going to have to drink even more water than half your body weight in ounces. So it's such a relative thing. I make it important to them, and I say, pay attention to this. Remember that water to the body is like oil to a car. You've got to be hydrated. If you're not hydrated, your body can't operate efficiently. And so I send them out also telling them, walk with intention. Put your heel down, You push off with your toes. You know, you don't have to push off with your toes every single time, but check in with those toes once in a while. You need those toes to be working, and we forget we have toes. And it's kind of funny because I'll work with some athletes and I'll tell them, when you're looking for that little extra bit of power, you know, try using those toes while you're running. Push off with those toes, dig in with those toes a little bit. And I've seen several, you know, I think you guys call it PR, you know, when they beat their personal record or something like that. It's been really exciting to work with, especially a lot of people like, oh, they're young, they're kids, you know, they don't need a massage. I'm old, I need a massage. And it's like, no. You know, a lot of kids are injured in sports and they don't even realize it until they get to be adults, because the body is just that good at, you know. So get your kids in. If they tell you it hurts, you know, find somebody you trust and get them in and get it checked out, you know. A lot of times I've had kids.
It should really not ever hurt. So if your kids are hurting, there's something causing it, right?
Yes, exactly. And, you know, sadly, I've had a couple of people that I'm their last resort. They go see this person, that person, and they go for this and that. And then they come see me. It's the end of the season. But I know you can help my kid. And I'm just like, okay. But don't do that to your massage. I mean, I've had kids that have come in with hopping. And, you know, we work that pronaus longus out, work that tibialis anterior out. It's spasmed. It's got something going on. And they walk out. So, I mean, you know, obviously it wasn't hurting that bad that they had to be seen by a doctor or anything. But, you know, I mean, massage can sometimes really kind of calm things down. And get things realigned so that you don't have those pain signals. And then you basically are eliminating further injury. You're eliminating potential really big problems.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense? Do I need to clarify that?
No, okay. Well, like I'll give a really good example. It'll be like someone's lower back that's been in a rough state for a long time. And all of a sudden they do the one movement, you know, and that sends them into a cascade of everything's messed up now. Or maybe they don't even remember the one movement. They just know that it woke up one morning and started hurting, right? Because there were movements before, but they were so simple, or that was so far out of balance that, you know, finally the camel's straw was the straw that broke the camel's back was so teensy that they don't even remember the movement. So that's getting all the way till it's that bad to that place. Like, then you can have really serious injuries occur. So what Melinda's saying, come in and we can work with it here, and then you go back to normal and you don't have to hit this extreme.
Right. And, you know, and sometimes it's just the fear of using it. It's, you know, it's hurt, but it's not really hurt really bad. And, you know, a good massage therapist will refer you to somebody if you look like you need, you know, something they can't help you with. A good massage therapist doesn't go, oh, well, let me try and fix this. No, if they can't, you know, palpate and say, oh, okay, yeah, you're just in spasm right here. Here's your trigger point. You know, you have to be careful. There I went talking and.
Good. Like Melinda also brings to us experience from working in a chiropractor's office where she's working with injuries and with other practitioners. And she knows like the scope of what we all are supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. And so you know, you have a doctor there that's saying, you know, help this kid out, you know. And so, you know, basically that is the nice thing about working under someone that has that doctor title is you're working for them. And so you just communicate and you do what they tell you to do. And that's how that goes. But I'm the first person to tell somebody, I don't think I can help you because I know enough about massage that it's that consistency. It's getting those regular massages. That is really what helps you heal. Massage is not this magic, oh, I saw this massage therapist and she fixed me. That That is so misleading. You get lucky sometimes, but the truth of it is, all we really did was we calmed something down so that your body could go back to using itself correctly. And it wasn't, I mean, some people might, oh, I'm all this or whatever, but the truth of it is your body, it's that sign behind you, healing power of circulation. That it right there says it all. And massage is just one of those tools to increase circulation to tissue.
Yes. Yeah. I want to go
That
back
doesn't,
and sorry, go ahead.
no, that's, you want to go back what?
Okay, sorry. I want to go back and revisit this idea, like, speaking of things that we can't always work with. You talk about when a body gets injured, like that it remembers, like in those situations of trauma, that it remembers those situations. And sometimes when I'm working with a client, what they almost never want to hear, or something that's really hard to hear, is I'm not finding anything that's contributing to your pain physically.
Yeah.
And sometimes we run into those situations where they're experiencing trauma in the tissue that is like emotionally built up, right, Melinda? Like sometimes
yes,
that does happen.
And I would encourage every serious massage therapist that that is interested in helping people in a healing journey pick up Janet Travell's Trigger Point Therapy books, because those books, there is a muscle in your calf that causes pain in your shoulder, in the back, in your upper back. Trigger points are just crazy amazing.
True.
There's these little knots and they shoot pain in different places. And, Janet Travell was actually President Kennedy's doctor, and the whole world didn't even realize how sick he was because he was consistent with his trigger point therapy sessions with her. She kept him going. And, she actually used saline injections, but the principle is the same. You're using hands instead of needles, which makes some people smile.
Yeah. Instead of needles, right? So sometimes there's this idea of, in a session, in a massage, where we're working, with the Western ideas of blood flow and lymph circulation, we can sometimes kind of hit on these, Eastern ideas of, trigger points that lead to, emotional or energetic walk-ups that are, maybe something that's less understood, but still as impactful on a body.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you classified trigger points as an Eastern technique, because I actually, you're right, but there is actually two different, there's balls of energy knots, and then there's these muscular knots, okay? And so some people get those confused and they think they're the same thing, and that's a totally innocent thing to do. Eastern medicine actually comes from the idea of you treat the whole person, kind of like that stair step you showed us.
Yes.
Eastern medicine and Eastern massages tend to have really lengthy intake forms. They want to know all about you. A good practitioner, okay? Mm-hmm. They want to know everything. And that's because they're going to take that whole thing into perspective. And they found that all these different organs have different emotions, that, it's very convoluted. There are so many books written on Eastern medicine. And the really cool thing is a lot of doctors now are starting to be open to that. And we're starting to have a complete picture instead of just part of it. So I hope that kind of, yeah. Well, here's an example. In a lot of Eastern massage, you'll massage away from the heart. But in a lot of Western massage, they always only want you to work towards the heart. So when you're moving energy, you tend to want to move it out of the body. When you're moving blood, you tend to want to move it towards the heart. So, they both heal. And so you have to, some people can get lucky. And then some people, you have to have some education, and you have to have an intention and be able to, set your intention and say, this is what we want today, and this is what we're going to try. And if it doesn't work, we'll try something different next time. But yeah, that's kind of the real big thing between the Eastern and the Western. So
Perfect.
from my experience, you're going to find other therapists that have totally different experience. But see, I have scoliosis, and so I have a huge appreciation for bone structure and muscles, because I was in a lot of pain until I found massage because of I have the double S curve, the really not fun kind of scoliosis, and massage has been amazing for me. But I'm at this place where I'm starting to watch your shows and, you know, your podcasts or whatever you call them, and I'm going, yeah, I think I need to fix some things in my diet now. But I'm ready to do that because, you know, I've been true to the massage. I've seen how that's helped. And, you know, now you start walking up that next stair step like you were talking.
Yeah. And maybe you have like these stairs and those stairs, but there's one in the middle. You know, everyone's balanced differently. Well, Melinda, I want to keep these really close to a half an hour. I know that you and I could talk all night. I think we've done that before.
I know. I was like, how long is...
We won't record all night talking. But anyways, if we could... is there self-care for like someone with that shoulder injury or someone with, you know, lower back or someone that consistently comes in for massage? What kind of self-care are you helping them to do at home or reminding them to do at home so that they don't rely totally on your magic hands?
You see, in the state of Idaho, unless you have some sort of a certificate that says you can tell people what to do, you have to be really careful. So what I tell people is use it, but if it hurts, stop, listen to it, honor it, appreciate it, listen to it. I love to tell people, back to your sign again, the healing power of circulation. My favorite thing, I'll answer your question this way. My favorite thing to tell my clients is, you know, those flax packs or those rice packs, heat those up and put some heat on it and be aware of it. And so if you go do a bunch of yard work and you know you have a weak link, then grab that rice pack, throw some heat on it. Another thing that I'll throw out really quick, just because it fits in with what you're saying, and this is something that a lot of people are having a hard time swallowing, but the gentleman, and his name eludes me at this moment just because I'm so stressed, but he's the guy that coined the rice theory. He's recanted that, and you can actually type that in Google, rice theory recanted, and you'll pull that doctor's article up, and he's actually said, you know, don't rest it. Use it as much as it will allow you to use it. Instead of ice it, heat it. Now you can, there's people that will argue that, you know, ice is still really good, you know, for like in 5-minute segments and stuff like that. But this guy says, you know, unless it's super acute, you want to be, and most times by the time somebody comes to me, I don't work on acute people. I'll just,
they did not just fall yesterday, usually.
No, I work on people that have chronic things, you know, they threw that baseball when they're in high school and their shoulder's never been the same, stuff like that. So, you know, getting heat to that is going to increase blood flow to that area, because anytime, and that's what those pain creams, you know, like you sell that pain cream, that doTERRA Deep Blue, you know, that brings that constant hot, cold feeling that makes the brain go, what's going on down there? Yes. So it sends what? It sends blood down there.
Attention. Oh, something's happening.
Check it out. So, and that's why those, you know, along with some of the healing properties of the herbs and things, but that's one of the huge reasons why they work, because it makes the brain send, you know, your body is like, what's going on? Sends blood down there and helps with that. So I'm super restrained as far as telling people what to do. As far as self-care is concerned, I say make sure that you're staying hydrated. And the Boy Scouts have a really great little sign above the bathrooms, and it has the different colors of pee, and it tells you if your pee looks like this, drink more water.
I like a Boy Scout.
I will actually tell people, you know, it needs to be clear or barely yellow. If it's anything darker than barely yellow, you probably need to increase your hydration.
I love it.
And I'm like I was saying earlier, I'm a big, make sure you're swapping out whatever you're ingesting for salt for earth salt. And I say this because I have yet to discover any mammal that eats sea salt. They eat earth salt. They love earth salt, mineral salt. That's how they've discovered a lot of these salt mines, is that and the animals were eating the dirt. Well, check it out. Salt here. But
here.
so I tell people sea salt's awesome for the outside of your body, but mineral salt is awesome for the inside of your body. And I tell them use it or lose it. And like you know, like you and I talk.
Like I'm not going to rest it. I'm using it or losing it.
But I use it within its tolerance and its comfort level. It's like any time, if you take someone that has an emotional injury, you're not going to go force them into a place where they're not okay to be in. You know, you're going to want to work with them and use things like tapping to kind of help them self-soothe so that they can build up a tolerance. And so it's the same way with the body. You're going to want to ease into whatever it is you have going on and just listen to it, and you're a whole person, and honor that part of yourself and work with it. Don't push it. Sometimes once you're healthy, it's okay to push yourself, because you and I both know, you know, it's not always bad to tear muscle tissue, because that's how you build bigger, better, faster, stronger, right? Is you tear it down and you rebuild it. But you're also using it. And the real big problem that poses with the healing power of circulation is when you stop moving it because it hurts.
Yeah.
That's when that sediment and congestion becomes a problem.
Blood flow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, perfect. I think we covered a lot of really good stuff, Melinda. Thank you for your time and for, helping everyone understand a little bit better about what circulation can do for their body.
Oh, where would we be without it?
Well, we wouldn't be, I don't think.
Right.
Circulation is necessary within days of conception, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, I know we could talk all night, but I'll let everyone hop off. And before we do, I'll tell you that next week, Fireside Chat has to do with a particular type of exercise that was requested, which is CrossFit. So if you haven't gotten on the wave of CrossFit, you want to learn about it, I have a wonderful trainer coming next week to teach us more.
And let me throw this in.
Yeah, go for it.
Massage, whenever you start some new exercise regime, massage is a very kind thing for your body to help you be successful. So I like to look at massage. It's similar to braces. Everybody wants perfect teeth. You have to have braces, and massage is kind of like braces. It's that gentle reminder to your body of this is what alignment is, relax this, stretch that, So yeah, if you're going to do that CrossFit program, which is amazing, I've got some CrossFit clients that are phenomenally fit. It's beautiful. Beautiful practice, but be kind to your body, and while you're getting good at it, take advantage of some massage.
I absolutely agree with that.
Get hold of Rebecca.
That's right. Thanks, Melinda. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Everyone have a good night. Till next time.